Hi, I'm going to speak about or share some thoughts about the emotional compass in the flower model. A couple of weeks ago, I had shared some thoughts around the structure of emotion, and I had used a pattern of ubiquitous progress, sustainable progress that occurs in time. And this pattern is one of a seed growing into a flower. So you have the seed that goes through a stalk stage and becomes a flower. And here there are three distinct phases. You have the seed phase, which is the impulse to maintain the status quo. I'll refer to that as the physical. You have a phase of assertiveness, even perhaps aggressiveness, of experimentation, of a lot of growth. I'll refer to that as the vital. And then you have a phase in which the intent inherent in the seed becomes more obvious, and I'll refer to that as the mental phase. Now this pattern is it's a ubiquitous pattern of sustainable progress, and it occurs regardless of the scale of an organization or the complexity of an organization. Now the same pattern can appear at any point in time in space as a tightly bonded structure that has three components, similarly the physical, the vital, and the mental. And a couple of weeks ago I had shared that the vital component, the one of energy and feeling, brings into our awareness a certain kind of feeling that's occupying space in us, and that feeling will persist unless we understand the driver behind it, and that's the mental component. And in really understanding the driver, drawing attention to it, becoming aware of it, we are able to deconstruct this bonded structure and allow something else to emerge in its place. Now, I'm going to expand that notion of emotion to states of being, and to really consider the various states of being that we might be interacting with or experience at different points. I'll refer once again to this flower model. And so we have the three phases: the physical, the vital, and the mental. And some states of being that might occur more at the seed or physical side of things, on the negative side, are states of being like complacency, inertia, weakness, depression, boredom, amongst others. Similarly, in the vital domain, some of the negative states of being that we might experience are fear, haste, irritation, anger, selfishness, amongst others. And more on the mental side, some of the states of being might be anxiety, one-sided thoughts, perturbing thoughts, obsessive compulsive thoughts, mental noise, and so on. Now, each of these states of being or different feelings are in fact doing us a favor, because they draw into attention the fact that there are various bonded structures that exist within us that are occupying space, that are taking up processing capacity, and that are filtering our awareness of ourselves and of the world around us. And so, for example, whether it's complacency or inertia or depression or boredom, these states of being can continue to exist unless we become aware that there's a driver behind them. So the feeling or the vital component has a driver behind it, and when we focus on the driver, then we in fact are able to deconstruct this bonded structure so that something else can now occur in its place. And if we think about what may occur in the place of these various bonded structures, if we think the negative and now the positive, so if we're able to deconstruct these various feelings through becoming aware of the drivers, it might in fact give rise to, in the physical domain, to states of being like strength, stability, flexibility, a sense of well-being, and so on. Similarly, if we're able to deconstruct these feelings of fear, haste, irritation, anger, and so on, it might give rise to positive feelings like courage and assured action, joy, a kind of love, selflessness, and so on. And then similarly on the mental side, if we're able to deconstruct these various feelings, it might give rise to one of peace, of the ability to think synergistically, comprehensively, to think comprehensively or holistically, or the ability to just experience a greater degree of intuition, and so on. So in fact, there's this incredible compass that's built into us. And if we consider again this movement of time and the emergence of this sustainable pattern of progress, there's this compass that inherently wants us or is driving us towards this higher state of experience where we can remake who we are being, the filters that we have, and the experience that we have both of ourselves and of others, by listening to these different feelings. Because, for example, if we experience feelings like complacency, inertia, weakness, depression, boredom, and so on, it's drawing attention to blocks that exist in this part of our experience. So we're getting blocks so that we experience things always in the manner of status quo, wanting to maintain things as they are without progressing. Or if we experience states of being like fear, haste, irritation, anger, and so on, then it's drawing attention to blocks that exist in this second phase of the journey towards a sustainable structure. And unless we're able to replace these states by the opposite, so deconstructing them, we're not going to in effect make the transition from here to here, or similarly from here to here. And even when we're in this state, there's going to be various blocks that arise, and unless we deconstruct those, we're not going to make progress even at this level. Now, the point also is that this being a fractal structure, so the first thing is that there's this inbuilt emotional compass that, if we pay attention to, is driving us towards a higher level of experience, is asking us to remake ourselves almost so that we can experience more fullness in life. But also, if we are in this stage, this being a fractal pattern, the notion there's progress that can always be made, so that the same pattern occurs here. And in fact, when we consider this stage, this may be a part of a fractal pattern that says here. And so this kind of reorientation is in fact progressive. There's always more and more opportunity to begin to, or to remake ourselves based on this fractal notion.